Good morning, and welcome to another segment of the Werff Report for March 14th. Keep America vigilant to 23. Totally obliterate the deep state. That's the promise of President Trump during his speech in Iowa last night, should he become president for the third time. Also promising to break up the corrupt Federal Department of Education while he's at it, as Mitch McConnell enters inpatient rehab after a fall that appears to be much worse than they originally said. Biden blames Trump for the banking collapse. The Democratic senator who asked if there was a censorship program in place to prevent a run on the banks is revealed. And the former director of national intelligence says that every intelligence agency signed off on a statement in April of 2020 declaring China responsible for COVID-19 and that it originated in the Wuhan lab. But a cover-up ensued because, quote, they had an election to manipulate. First, to an update on Mitch McConnell, who has been hospitalized for a concussion ever since he allegedly tripped at a former Trump hotel. Yesterday, his staff provided an update proving it truly was much more serious than they've let on, saying McConnell will now enter an inpatient rehabilitation center before he goes home, with no mention on when he'll be going back to work. The statement reads in part, quote, Leader McConnell's concussion recovery is proceeding well, and the leader was discharged from the hospital today. At the advice of his physician, the next step will be a period of physical therapy at an inpatient rehabilitation facility before he returns home. Over the course of treatment this weekend, the leader's medical team discovered that he also suffered a minor rib fracture on Wednesday, for which he is also being treated. Quite odd, right, folks? Man, the left sure is having a terrible time. Feinstein, Fetterman, now McConnell. Very interesting. Next to Joe Biden, who continues the left's ridiculous trend of blaming Trump for everything they've done. In a tweet yesterday, the fake president stated, quote, we must reduce the risk of this happening again. During the Obama-Biden administration, we placed tough requirements on banks to make sure the crisis we saw in 2008 wouldn't happen again. Unfortunately, my predecessor rolled some of those back. Really, Joe? Did your predecessor spend over $6 trillion over a 2-year period, causing 40-year highs of inflation? Did your predecessor's Federal Reserve raise interest rates 7 times in 2022 for a total of 4.5%? That's what's causing our banking crisis, and it just magically happens anytime a Democrat is in power. But it's not their fault, right? It's always the people before them. This is on purpose, folks. They want to destabilize America in every way, socially, economically, etc. Hence the massive crime rates and soft-on-crime stances from these people. Hence inflation and rising interest rates leading to a banking crisis. It's all part of the Great Reset, which will eventually end up being the Great Awakening instead. They will drink their own poison, folks. Believe me. Next, to an update on another story we brought you. We previously reported that a Democratic senator, on a Zoom call with various agencies and the federal government regarding the banking crisis, actually asked the federal government if there was a censorship program in place for social media to prevent a run on the banks. It's now being reported that that Democrat was none other than Mark Kelly of Arizona. Go figure. Now to the big story, where former acting director of national intelligence Rick Grinnell told Lou Dobbs on his podcast recently that every single intelligence agency signed off on a statement back on April 30th of 2020 declaring China responsible for the pandemic and agreeing that the virus originated in the Wuhan lab. He called it a, quote, cover-up. Grinnell stated on the podcast, quote, from this point on, we're not allowed to say or show you what we're about to on this platform, or we'll almost certainly be punished for it. For those of you that have been with us from the beginning, you know that YouTube had previously labeled our content as, quote, harmful to the public, and nearly banned us permanently on at least 2 separate occasions. So please, join us for the rest of this segment at thewerfreport.com, where we can say exactly what we want without fear of censorship, suppression, or the banning of our account for only $1.99 a month or $15 a year. And for all the trolls out there who don't like our business model, no need to comment. Just keep scrolling. We clearly have our reasons. For everyone else, your support helps us do what we do. See you there.